The silent hand of justice. There's something in this world you can't see, can't touch, but you feel it when it moves. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with warning signs or flashing lights. It's silent, but it's always there. The silent hand of justice. You've probably seen it in your own life, even if you didn't recognize it at the time. Someone wronged you, took advantage of you, lied to you, maybe even laughed at you when you were down. And you thought to yourself, they'll get away with it. That's just how the world works. But months, maybe years later, something happened. A fall, a loss, a truth exposed, and suddenly you remembered. Life keeps its own balance. Here's the truth. No matter how fast a lie runs, the truth walks with a steadiness it never loses. And when the truth arrives, it doesn't just level the ground, it tilts it, sending the guilty sliding into the very pit they dug for others. That's not magic. That's not superstition. That's reality playing out exactly as it's meant to. Life isn't a perfect courtroom, but it has a strange way of settling accounts. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's painfully slow, but the hand moves, always. You might think you're powerless when someone wrongs you, but here's the beauty. You don't have to play their game. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to lose yourself trying to get even. All you have to do is keep your own side clean, because the same law that catches them will protect you. It's not about sitting and hoping. It's about living in such a way that when justice moves, it finds you standing tall, not looking over your shoulder. You can't control when it comes or how it comes, but you can trust that the silent hand doesn't sleep. And when it moves with precision. This hand doesn't just work against those who harm. It works for those who choose what's right. And here's the part most people miss. Justice isn't just about punishment. It's also about reward. You may not see it yet, but every act of kindness, every hard choice to take the high road, every time you swallowed your pride and chose integrity, it's all on record. Every seed you planted in the dark is growing somewhere you can't see. And one day that garden will open before you. So don't rush the process. Don't think for a second that life has forgotten what was done to you, or the good you've done for others. The silent hand of justice works without your permission, without your control, but always in your favor if you choose the right path. The day will come when the scales tip, and when they do, you'll understand. Every moment you kept your hands clean, every time you walked away instead of striking back, it wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. Have you ever wondered if life keeps score? Look around long enough, and you'll start to see it. Patterns that don't make sense at first, but add up over time. People who cheat the system eventually get caught. Those who build on lies eventually watch it crumble. And those who quietly put in the work eventually rise. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. Life remembers. It keeps score. Karma through Danzel lens. Not magic, just consequence. From Danzel's point of view, karma isn't some mystical force floating in the air. It's simple cause and effect. If you plant wheat, you get wheat. If you plant thorns, you get thorns. Every action sets something in motion, an invisible ripple that keeps moving long after the moment passes. And sooner or later, that ripple returns to the one who created it. Seeds in the dark. Why actions always sprout. Think of every choice as a seed. You might drop it into the soil and walk away, thinking nothing will come of it. But the soil is patient. It doesn't care if you forget. It will feed that seed until it grows. Good seeds bring shade and fruit. Bad seeds bring weeds that choke the life out of everything around them. And there's no hiding from the harvest. This isn't about revenge. It's about reality. Revenge is about you trying to even the score. Reality is about life doing it without your help. You chasing revenge can poison you more than the original wound. But trusting that reality will deliver the right outcome allows you to walk away with your peace intact. You don't have to hurt them. Life will handle it. The goal: peace for the wronged, discipline for the unjust. For the one who's been hurt, the goal isn't to see the other suffer. It's to regain peace. For the one who's done wrong, the lesson isn't to be crushed. It's to be corrected. Life's hand of justice has two sides. It heals the one who suffered and teaches the one who caused the suffering. That's balance. See I in two. They become prisoners of their own conscience. There's a prison far worse than any made of stone or steel. It has no bars, no guards, no visible walls. And yet, once you're locked inside, it's almost impossible to escape. That prison is the human conscience. When someone does wrong, when they harm, lie, or betray, they may think they've gotten away with it because no one saw them, no one confronted them, no one called them out. But what they don't realize is that they've already been sentenced, not by a judge, not by society, but by their own mind. And the sentence isn't days or years, it's a lifetime. They can smile in public, pretend in conversation, post pictures that suggest their life is perfect. But when the lights go off, and it's just them and their thoughts, the truth comes knocking. The mind replays moments, the memory resurfaces, and the weight grows heavier. Every time they see someone who reminds them of their wrong, every time they hear a certain phrase, every time they pass the place where they did what they did, it's like the prison door slams again. That's the thing about the conscience. It doesn't forget. It doesn't care how much you try to bury it, how much noise you make to drown it out. It waits. It whispers at first, then it speaks louder, and eventually it shouts. And unlike physical punishment, which ends after a set time, this sentence has no release date, unless they choose to face what they've done and change. If you've been wronged, understand this. You don't have to chase revenge. Life has already handed them the heaviest chain they can wear, the knowledge of their own actions. And that chain rattles loudest in silence. You can run from others, but never from yourself. You can avoid the people you've hurt. You can move to another city, block numbers, change your routine. But there's one person you can't escape. Yourself. No matter where you go, your thoughts travel with you. You wake up with them. You go to sleep with them. They sit in the passenger seat. They stare back at you in the mirror. People who do wrong often think distance or time will erase what they did. But time doesn't erase, it records. And the farther you run, the louder your own steps sound. Even in the busiest crowd, you know the truth. Even in the happiest moment, the shadow follows. That's not superstition. That's the human mind refusing to let go of the truth. It knows. Guilt is a sentence served in the mind. When guilt takes root, it's not just a feeling, it's a form of mental imprisonment. You can distract yourself for a while with work, relationships or pleasures, but the walls are still there. It affects sleep, it steals joy, it makes the smallest inconveniences feel like punishments, because deep down, you feel you deserve them. Some try to numb it with substances, others with constant noise and activity, but nothing silences guilt, except facing it. That's why guilt, in its rawest form, is a self-inflicted sentence. And the irony is, the more someone runs from it, the longer and harder that sentence becomes. The difference between external punishment and inner turmoil. External punishment is handed out by systems, laws, courts, rules. It's visible. It has a timeline. Once you serve your time, the system considers the debt paid. But inner turmoil doesn't work like that. There's no official end date. It doesn't matter if the world forgives you. If you haven't forgiven yourself, the weight stays. That's why some people, even after escaping legal consequences, still can't enjoy life. They can't relax. They can't fully breathe. Because while the outside world sees freedom, the inside world is still locked up. Epictetus' truth. Only the virtuous rest easy. The Stoic teacher, Epictetus said it plainly. If you want peace, live in a way that deserves peace. You can buy comfort, you can buy security, but you can't buy a good night's sleep when your actions are rotten. Only those who live in line with what's right can rest without the sting of guilt. For the unjust, the pillow becomes a place of wrestling. Every quiet moment becomes a mirror. But for the one who lives cleanly, there's nothing to hide from. And that's the real reward. Peace that doesn't depend on what anyone else says. Because you know for yourself, you've done right. Your peace is built on clean hands, not payback. If someone's wronged you, the temptation is to plot their downfall, to even the score. But here's the truth. The fastest way to lose your own peace is to stain your hands with the same dirt they carry. Clean hands sleep easy. Dirty ones, no matter how justified they feel in the moment, carry the same restless weight. So instead of focusing on their fall, focus on your own freedom. Let them deal with their own conscience.
It's a prison you don't want to visit. And as you keep your hands clean, you build a kind of peace they may never know. Sign 3. Their circle shrinks. When a person lives with integrity, their life naturally attracts strong, loyal connections. But when deceit, betrayal, and selfishness become their pattern, something shifts. The phone rings less. Invitations stop coming. People they once called friends begin to keep their distance. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, almost invisible process. The truth is, people don't want to be close to someone they can't trust. They may tolerate them for a while, out of politeness or shared history, but deep down, they know that standing too close to a falling building is dangerous. Over time, the dishonest and the harmful find themselves surrounded by fewer and fewer allies, not because the world has suddenly turned against them, but because their own actions have pushed others away. A shrinking circle isn't just a sign of bad luck, it's the result of repeated choices. And while they may blame others, life is simply returning the weight of their behavior back to them. Character is a magnet. It draws or drives away. Every person you meet feels the pull or the push of your character. If your words and actions align, you draw people in. They feel safe with you. They know you mean what you say. But when your words and actions clash, you repel them. Even if they can't explain it, they sense something's off. A strong character is like a magnet for respect, loyalty, and trust. A corrupt character works the same way, but in reverse. People may come close at first, drawn by charm or surface level appeal, but sooner or later, they see the cracks. And once they do, the pull turns into a push, and they quietly step away. When trust cracks, relationships collapse. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, personal, professional, or casual. And like glass, once it's cracked, it's never quite the same. You can patch it, you can pretend the damage isn't there, but deep down, both sides know the weakness remains. When someone lies, manipulates, or acts in a way that betrays another's confidence, they don't just damage a single moment, they change the entire structure of that connection. Over time, the weight of suspicion grows too heavy to carry, and the relationship collapses. And here's the harsh truth. Rebuilding trust takes years, but breaking it takes seconds. The slow fade into social exile. For most people who burn bridges, exile doesn't happen with a public confrontation. It happens silently. Calls stop being returned. People stop sharing personal information with them. Invitations stop arriving. It's not about revenge. It's about self-protection. One by one, doors close, not slammed in anger, but quietly shut to prevent more harm. And because this happens gradually, the person causing the harm often doesn't realize it until they look around one day and see that the room is almost empty. By then, the damage is done. Their circle has shrunk, not by chance, but by choice. The choices they made over and over again. Danza reminder, reputation follows, virtue like a shadow danza, understood something timeless. Your reputation is simply the reflection of your actions, just as a shadow reflects your shape. You can't control the shadow directly, you control it by how you stand. Live with virtue, and your reputation follows you like a steady companion. Live with deceit, and your reputation becomes a warning to others. No amount of pretending or image crafting can erase the truth for long. Sooner or later, people see who you really are, and your reputation either opens doors or closes them. Guard your name. It's worth more than gold. In the ancient world, a person's name was more valuable than their wealth. A clean name opened opportunities, built trust, and carried respect. A stained name closed doors, cost alliances, and brought suspicion. Guarding your name doesn't mean trying to look perfect. It means living in a way that your actions speak for you. It means choosing honesty, even when it costs you. It means keeping your word, even when it's inconvenient. Because when the gold is gone, and the titles fade, your name is what remains. And once it's damaged, no amount of wealth can buy it back.
Sign 4. They repeat the cycle until it destroys them. Some people think life is random, that bad luck just falls on them for no reason. But if you look closely, you'll see the truth. It's not luck, it's a pattern. The same mistakes, the same choices, the same fallout over and over again. And here's the cruel part. Every time the cycle repeats, the damage gets worse. When a person refuses to face the truth about their actions, Life has no choice but to give them the same lesson again. Different faces, different settings, but the same core problem. They lie, and it backfires. They betray trust and they lose another ally. They take shortcuts and it costs them more in the end. You can't outrun a lesson you haven't learned. And until they wake up to the fact that their own choices are the root cause, they'll keep living the same story. Only each chapter will be harder to survive than the last. Life's harsh rule: fail the lesson, face it again. Life isn't in a rush. It doesn't move on just because you want it to. If you fail a lesson, it brings it back around until you pass. That's why some people keep meeting the same type of trouble. They think it's unfair, but in truth it's their own behavior coming back for another round. It's like touching a hot stove. If you don't learn the first time, you'll keep getting burned, and each burn leaves a scar, making it harder to heal. The only way to stop it is to finally face the truth and change what caused it in the first place. The trap of self-destructive patterns. A self-destructive pattern feels safe at first because it's familiar. People repeat it because it's what they know, even if it's hurting them. It's like walking in circles in the desert. You see the same scenery, but you tell yourself you're making progress. The danger is that each loop in the pattern takes more from you. More relationships, more health, more peace. And the longer you stay in it, the deeper the trap gets. The pattern isn't just repeating, it's digging. And eventually it becomes a pit too deep to climb out of without serious change. Stoic warning: without reason, failure repeats. The Stoics taught that reason is the compass that keeps you from walking the same wrong path twice. Without it, you're doomed to repeat your own destruction. You'll chase the same temptations, fall into the same traps, and wonder why life feels like it's circling back on you. Reason demands honesty, looking at your own actions without excuses. It demands humility, accepting that you caused the storm you're in. And it demands discipline, choosing a different path, even when it's harder. Without those, the wheel just keeps turning, grinding you down with each pass. The snowball effect of consequences. Every choice you make sends something rolling. A small wrong choice might not seem like much, but as it keeps moving, it gathers more weight, more damage, more speed. Before long, the snowball is too big to stop easily, and it crashes into every part of your life. That's how repeated mistakes work. One lie becomes 2, then 10. One broken trust becomes a habit. One selfish act turns into a pattern of destruction, and the impact is always bigger the next time around. Break your cycles before they break you. Here's the hard truth: your patterns will either be broken by choice or by force. If you break them by choice, you walk away with your dignity, your peace, and your relationships intact. If you wait until life breaks them for you, you may lose everything in the process. The sooner you face the cycle, the sooner you can end it. You don't have to live the same year on repeat. You don't have to watch the same story play out again. But change starts with one decision: to stop running in circles and finally walk a new path. Saws in 5. Their success turns hollow from the outside. It might look like they've won. They got the promotion. They closed the deal. They're driving the car and posting the pictures. People clap. Some even envy them. But inside, something's missing. The thrill doesn't last. The celebration feels forced. The so-called win tastes stale the moment they hold it. That's the thing about success built on dishonesty, selfishness, or betrayal. It can't satisfy. You can fake the image, but you can't fake the feeling. Deep down, they know how they got there, and because of that, they can't fully enjoy it. Their smile hides the truth. What they gained came at a cost they can't ignore. Real success feeds your soul as much as it fills your hands. Hollow success does neither. It leaves you restless, empty, and still searching for the thing you thought it would give you. Not every victory deserves a celebration. The world celebrates results. If you win, you're praised. But the Stoics, and anyone who's lived long enough to see both sides, know that not every victory is worth celebrating. If you cheated, if you stepped on others, if you lost your integrity along the way, then the so-called victory is really a loss in disguise. Some trophies weigh heavier than they look, not because they're valuable, but because they're reminders of what you sacrificed to get them. And if you had to lose your peace, your respect, or your good name to win, it wasn't worth it. When gains come without peace, they mean nothing. What's the point of having more if it costs you your rest? You can own the biggest house, but if you can't sleep peacefully inside it, it's just a box with walls. You can have money in the bank, but if every deposit carries guilt, it's just numbers on a screen. Peace is the real profit. Without it, every gain feels like a burden. And here's the truth. You can't buy peace with the same actions that stole it from you. No matter how much they collect, the unjust will always feel like something's missing, because something is stoic. Truth, virtue is the only true wealth. The damsel taught that virtue, living with honesty, courage, and justice, is the only wealth you can't lose against your will. Everything else can be taken. Money, possessions, titles, even health. But your character is yours to guard. Those who chase success without virtue end up poor in the ways that matter most. They may have full pockets but empty hearts. They may be surrounded by luxury, but starving for peace. True wealth is knowing you didn't have to compromise your soul to get what you have. A feast without flavor. The emptiness of ill-gotten wins. Imagine sitting at a banquet table, covered with the finest food. But when you take a bite, there's no taste. That's what an ill-gotten win feels like. It might look satisfying, but it leaves you empty. The joy is missing because deep down, you know it wasn't earned the right way. Real success nourishes you. It tastes better because it's seasoned with honesty, effort, and patience. But when you skip those ingredients, you're left chewing on something that looks like food, but feeds nothing. Release envy. Empty victories aren't worth chasing. It's easy to envy someone who seems to have it all. But before you wish for their life, ask yourself how they got it and what it cost them. Many people you envy are quietly miserable, trapped by the very things you think you want. Empty victories aren't worth chasing. They give you a moment of attention and a lifetime of unrest. Instead of envying their hollow success, focus on building something solid, something you can hold without regret, something that lets you sleep at night, knowing you didn't lose yourself to get it. Sign 6. They face public exposure. For a while they might think they've mastered the art of hiding. They know how to smile in public, how to shape a story so it looks clean, how to keep people focused on what they want them to see. But time has a way of stripping away masks. It may take months, it may take years, but the truth doesn't stay buried forever. When exposure comes, it rarely arrives quietly. Sometimes it's a slip of the tongue. Sometimes it's a document that surfaces. Sometimes it's someone they underestimated stepping forward with proof. And in that moment, all the careful pretending collapses. The image they worked so hard to protect crumbles, and the real story stands in the open for everyone to see. Public exposure isn't just about being caught. It's about the weight of every hidden thing finally landing at once. And by the time it happens, the damage isn't just to their reputation, but to their future. Time reveals what patience already knew. Patience sees what speed cannot. While the guilty rush to cover their tracks, patience quietly watches, knowing the truth will outlast the lie. Time has a way of peeling back layers. It exposes contradictions, patterns, and the moments they thought no one noticed. This is why those who have been wronged can rest without chasing revenge, because time is already at. Every false move leaves a mark. Every hidden choice leaves a trail. And eventually, patience gets to point and say, there, that's what I was waiting for. The moment the mask slips, a mask can hide the face, but it can't hide the cracks. Eventually something happens. A stress too great, a question too sharp, a moment too unguarded, and the mask slips. For a second, the real person shows. Maybe it's anger they can't control, a truth they didn't mean to reveal, or a reaction that betrays them. And here's the thing, once people see even a glimpse of what's behind the mask, they can't unsee it. That moment plants doubt, and doubt spreads fast. The carefully built image begins to look less like reality and more like a performance. Stoic reality You can't fool the world forever. The thought that you can deceive for a season, but not for a lifetime. People are sharper than you think. They notice the small inconsistencies, the slips in tone, the mismatch between words and actions. You might mislead many for a while, but you can't mislead everyone forever. Truth is like the sun. It may be hidden by clouds, but it's still there. And sooner or later it breaks through. And when it does, all the shadows it casts vanish in an instant. When truth surfaces, it hits like a wave. Truth rarely creeps out quietly. It crashes. It comes with force, knocking down everything built on falsehood. And like a wave, it doesn't ask permission. It sweeps away the lies, the cover stories, the carefully arranged pieces, leaving only what's real. For those living honestly, the wave cleanses. For those living falsely, it destroys. And the worst part is, when the truth finally hits, it often comes bigger and heavier, because it's been building for so long. Live so exposure only confirms your integrity. The best defense against exposure is simple. Live in a way that if the world saw everything, you'd have nothing to fear. When your life is built on honesty, being exposed is no threat, because what's revealed only confirms what you've claimed all along. But when someone builds their life on lies, exposure is inevitable and devastating. That's why the wisest choice is to live transparently now, so that when the light comes, it shows nothing but the truth you've already owned. Sign 7. They lose the one thing they can't replace. Peace. You can rebuild wealth. You can rebuild health. You can even rebuild trust, if both sides are willing. But once you lose your peace, it's never quite the same. You can distract yourself. You can keep busy. But that deep stillness, the kind that lets you breathe freely, doesn't come back easily. Peace is not just the absence of conflict. It's the presence of a clean heart and a clear mind. It's waking up without dread. It's going to bed without replaying the day in shame. And for those who harm others, peace becomes the one thing they can't buy, can't fake, and can't recover without facing the truth. They may collect more possessions, win more praise, or gain more influence, but none of it feels like enough. Because peace isn't built on what you have, it's built on who you are. And when that's gone, the emptiness is louder than any success. You can rebuild many things. Peace isn't one of them. Lose a job, and you can find another. Lose money, and you can earn it back. Lose friends, and with effort, you can form new ones. But peace, once it's gone, the road back is long and uncertain. Why? Because peace is tied to your inner alignment, your actions matching your values. When you act against your own conscience, you split yourself in two, and no matter how much you try to stitch it together, the seam remains. That's why people who live dishonestly are restless, even when they have it all. They've traded something priceless for something that can be replaced, and deep down, they know it. Harming others shatters inner stillness. Every time you harm someone, you take something from yourself. You chip away at your own stillness. You create a noise in your mind that doesn't fade when the conversation ends, or the event passes. That noise is the echo of your own conscience. The irony is that people who hurt others often think they're taking control, when in reality, they're losing the only control that matters, control over their own peace. You can't cause harm and expect your mind to stay quiet. Harm is like a stone in still water. It ripples until the whole surface is disturbed. Damsel wisdom. Peace lives only in harmony with virtue. The Stoics were clear. Peace is not an accident, it's a result. And the cause of peace is living in harmony with reason and virtue. You can't live one way and expect the rewards of another. You can't sow chaos and expect calm. Virtue, choosing what's right, just, and fair, isn't about moral superiority. It's about self-preservation. When your choices align with what's right, your mind is quiet. When they don't, your mind becomes your enemy. And there's no escaping the mind you live with every day. A house with broken windows, beauty without shelter. Imagine a beautiful house with polished floors, fine furniture and art on every wall. But all the windows are broken. The wind comes in, the rain drips through, and the cold bites at night. That's what life without peace feels like. It might look impressive from the outside, but it offers no comfort inside. The person who loses peace may still have beauty, wealth, or charm, but it's all for show. The storms of regret, guilt, and unrest blow through their life no matter how perfect they try to make it appear. Guard your peace, like your life depends on it, because it does. Peace is the anchor that keeps you steady when life's storms hit. Without it, you're tossed around by every wind, every fear, every regret. That's why you must guard it fiercely. Guard it with your choices. Guard it by refusing to harm others, even when they've harmed you. Guard it by living in a way that, if every secret came out, you'd have nothing to hide. Because once peace is gone, no amount of success, no number of wins, will fill the gap it leaves behind. Closing, your victory is in your virtue. You've seen it now, the silent hand of justice, the signs that life catches up to the unjust. And here's the truth. Your greatest victory isn't in watching them fall. It's in standing tall yourself. Your virtue, your integrity, your clean record with your own conscience is the proof that you've already won. You don't need to play their game to come out ahead. Life has its own ways of balancing the scales, and it doesn't need your hands to do it. Karma is life's job, not yours. It's tempting to take justice into your own hands, to speed up the process. But when you do that, you risk staining your own record. Karma, cause and effect, isn't something you control. It's life's work, not yours. Your job is to live in such a way that, when justice comes, it finds you blameless. Let life handle them. Use your energy to protect your peace and grow your character. The universe always balances cause and effect. Every cause creates an effect. That's not mystical, it's logical. If you plant an apple seed, you don't get thorns. If you plant harm, you don't get peace. Life keeps that law better than any human system ever could. The balance might take time. It might happen in ways you don't see, but it happens. And knowing that frees you from chasing revenge, you can trust the balance to work without you. Don't let bitterness turn you into them. The greatest danger of being wronged isn't the harm itself, it's becoming like the one who hurt you. Bitterness is a slow infection. It makes you justify doing the very things you once stood against. Don't give them that victory. Keep your hands clean. Let their choices be their own undoing. Your job is to make sure yours never become yours. Your peace, your virtue, your proof. You don't need their downfall to prove your worth. Your peace is proof. Your virtue is proof. The fact that you can stand without shame, without regret, and without fear of exposure, that's proof. Let your light speak louder than your anger. Let your example be the quiet evidence that doing right is always worth it, no matter how slow the reward. Live so well they can never touch you again. The ultimate revenge isn't making them pay. It's living so well that their shadow never reaches you. When you rise above, you move beyond their reach. They can't take your peace. They can't touch your name. They can't shake your life. Live so clean, so solid, so true, that when people hear your name, they think of strength, honor, and peace. That's your victory. That's the ending they can't rewrite.